Hello. Welcome to yet another battleship inspection in World of Warships. And we are looking at the better GK, the Preussen. Uh, Preussen is just a sadly way better version of GK. To me, probably the most explicit, blatant, and shameless example of power creep in the entire game. Um, Wargaming a while back decided to move the GK into coal and replace it with the price in the tech tree, which, is a change that I think actually makes sense. I actually do think that the Preussen makes more logical sense as the tier 10 version of the Friedrich Grosse than the GK did. But then they didn't buff the GK at all. And I thought for sure when they did that, they were going to buff the GK, maybe give it a better reload, a bit better dispersion or something. No, of course not. We just got the Mecklenburg instead. Would have been super interesting to just convert the GK into kind of what the Mecklenburg does, but nah, fuck that. So why are you just better? Well, the guns are just kind of a lot better. You have better firing angles, noticeably better firing angles, especially kiting. You actually have firing angles that prevent you from getting, kind of auto penned by battleship AP. Obviously, you get overmatch, which is nice. You also get inexplicably faster shells. In fact, the Preussen actually has the fastest shell. They're nice little dispersion moment there. Double set on the Austin for like 30k. You have the fastest overmatching shells in the game. Actually, of all the tier 10 battleships, the Preussen does in fact have the fastest shell flight time at medium and long range of every battleship in the game that can overmatch 30 millimeter armor. Which is kind of bizarre, very interesting, but bizarre for sure. Um, so the shells are faster, the firing angles are better. You have overmatch. You have a better reload. You have less like raw AP DPM. Not that that really matters on battleships. But the AP also has quite a lot more pen. The AP on the Preussen actually has a very slightly more amount of pen than Ohio gets. And combined with the railguns, I mean, make no mistake, these are fucking railguns. These shells are faster than Bourgogne shells, right? They are railguns, which is a massive asset that I think doesn't get talked about enough on the Preussen. Uh, these shells are faster than fucking Kremlin shells out to 20 kilometers. Very barely, but they are technically faster, right? These are absolutely fucking railgun shell arcs, um, which is amazing. And that's kind of just what it comes down to. The hull is identical, obviously. Everything about this ship as a boat, right? The boat is the same. It just has way better guns. Like I'm taking range mod on Preussen, which still gives a 24-second very comfy reload, which is a better reload than GK gets with reload mod on the lower caliber guns, right? And I actually do think, we're gonna mention again that maybe people should put their anti-cringe headgear on. Range mod Preussen is the play. It's undeniably the play. Now we all know that improving the range on a battleship marginally improves the vertical dispersion, right? I think everyone watching this channel kind of knows that. It's kind of a basic fact of the spaghetti code involving range and accuracy in this game. Uh, I am just going to, with pure cope and nothing but anecdote, state that the dispersion that Preussen gains from range mod is so noticeable to me that I can't play the ship without it. I don't know if that is literal, pure fucking cope, 100% made up headcanon, delusions in my brain. But I played the Preussen with reload mod like everyone did. I then decided, this reload's totally fine. Like going from a 21-second to a 24-second reload is like not even a problem, right? And it isn't. I mean, in my mind, it just isn't. And then you get usable range. But I started kind of getting this weird feeling that my ship was more accurate. And even people in my clan, when we would div, they would be like, how the fuck does your Preussen have dispersion that is this good? Like, I was getting like dev strikes at 23 kilometers on broadside cruisers, and people were like, "What the fuck is happening?" And then we kind of like laughed it off, and I went back to playing reload mod Preussen, and I just said no, never again. So I do play range mod Preussen now. I don't know what it is. Um, maybe at that just 1 or 2% better vertical dispersion is so noticeable on 8-gun battleships that it's just like the difference between getting a single citadel versus 0 damage at 20 kilometers. I don't know what to tell you. Just my experience playing the ship is that I would never take range mod off it again, basically. I have also played a good bit of hybrid build Preussen. I don't think it's really worth anything. At the end of the day, the ultimate problem with even a hybrid build Preussen is you get worse secondaries than Ohio gets. If you want to have very capable guns on very capable, 30 cal overmatch, 30 overmatch guns on a ship with really good secondaries, then just play Ohio. I mean, to be fair, just play Ohio over Preussen anyway. But going back to taking range mod, the railguns. This is something that you actually have going for you over Ohio. I know this ship gets memed on as just being a dog ship version of Ohio. Yes, at medium and close range, 100% fact. Tanking, 100% fact, right? Ohio gets American DCP, demented 40-second heal cooldowns. But how Ohio does not get fucking railguns, dude. Yes, these guns are a bit less accurate, right? They're 3 or 4% worse dispersion with 0.2 worse sigma. Undeniably, these shells are noticeably less accurate than Ohio, but they are railguns with slightly improved pen. And to me, this is the multiplicity of ways that the Preussen guns are better than the GK. I feel like there's kind of just... I feel like what happens with a lot of these ships is the community like latches on to one thing that's better or worse and then like autistically focuses on that. Like, Preussen's better than GK because it has overmatch. Yeah, I mean, sure, that is one of the reasons it's better than GK, but having an extra like 30 millimeters of pen at medium and long range over the GK guns, right? And keep in mind that when I say the GK guns, I'm talking about the 420s, which are kind of like not that good on the GK. And then if you run 420s and range mod on GK, your reload is so much longer than Preussen, you're actually kind of getting into the territory of like similar damage output, right? But I find the Preussen like reasonably consistent. We'll look at soon another tier 10 tech tree battleship with 8 guns that overmatch 30 mil. We'll look at the Repub. I think Preussen's better than Repub. I just kind of straight up think that it's a better ship. At the end of the day, I wouldn't put either of these battleships remotely in like an S tier, even for randoms. But I actually do think the Preussen is like a very, very solid battleship in randoms and ranked. Kind of almost inarguably better than GK in ranked, but GK shines a lot in ranked when there's no like US cruisers, right? There's no 30 millimeter platings to overmatch. That's something to keep in mind, right? Like if you look in this lobby, for example, draw your attention very briefly to the game. The enemy team has a Svea, which we gain a slight advantage because the Svea has, I believe, 30 and 25 millimeter armor platings on it. So we have a bit of an advantage over GK on that. But aside from that, we don't really gain anything over GK. As far as overmatch goes, right? Destroyers, ultralight cruisers, battleships with no 30 mil platings. So there's not that many lobbies where you're really going to take advantage of that better overmatch than GK. But then again, I want to draw your attention to my team, right? The Essex has a 30 millimeter flight deck. Preussen AP overmatches that. The Salem is covered in 27 and 30. We overmatch him more consistently than GK. I've mentioned this in many videos talking about guns that overmatch 30. Ships like the Napoli, 30. As soon as you gain the ability to overmatch 30 millimeters of armor, you turn the Napoli from one of the trolliest Citadel boats in the entire game to free dev strike, right? Because the second you overmatch 30 or have improved pen angles on something like a Napoli, you basically completely ignore the slope on the turtleback, which is how the thing survives going flat to battleships at close range, right? So having 30 overmatch is an extreme asset, obviously, but it's not just that. To me, it's the reload. Yes, you have less guns, but the opportunity cost is a bit better. You're able to kind of take range mod almost for free, because like again, I'm just gonna stress going from like on this kind of HP, going from a 19 to a 19.5 to a 22.2 second reload is to me just kind of a bit of a whatever. I would much rather have this extra range with this marginally improved vertical dispersion. Again, to me, my pure cope anecdote opinion is that the boat seems significantly more accurate with range mod. There's a couple of ships actually that I've noticed this on. I noticed this on the pan-European cruisers, the Cerberus line. To me, something very strange is going on with those ships. When you don't take accuracy mod in slot 3 on those ships, you don't feel 7% less accurate. You feel like 40% less accurate. I don't really know what that's about. But that's just kind of my experience. Now we have an Austin kiting away, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call a cruiser moment. Now, I would humbly posit to the audience, to the astute members of this audience, I have a question for you. Did those fucking shells even hit the part of his boat where he has a citadel, or did I hit the last fucking pixel of his stern and I should have overpenned? I don't know. We take those, as we say, we take those, but I'm kind of calling bullshit on that one. In my mind, he fucking juked that, and I should have gotten 2 or 3 overpens. But yeah, pretty fucking cool. Definitely German battleship dispersion moment where we basically stack 4 shells on the same pixel. Kind of going back to similar ships to Preussen, 8 guns with 30 overmatch. Part of the other reason why, unironically, I mean, this thing is way better armor than obviously something like Repub. We'll look at Repub shortly. But I mentioned this in the Bourgogne video, that the community rightfully acknowledges that the giant superstructure of GK Preussen is a big weakness. Undeniably, you definitely can kind of take 15k at like almost any angle randomly from Battleship AP. But all of these French boats and a lot of these American boats kind of have the same size superstructure, if we're being honest with ourselves. And I don't know why we pointed out with the Germans and not the others, but overall, a ship like Preussen has just way better armor, way better tanking ability than a ship like the Republic. The turrets being split into 4 is actually a massive asset, because when a turret gets knocked, 50% of your DPM doesn't go down. Right? These are things we're thinking about. These are undeniable. These are things that are worth fucking thinking about when you're comparing a lot of these ships. I think this guy ends up getting his heel off, like, right. Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate. So my original plan to keep chasing him, right? Conqueror has very good concealment. We could talk about the match for a second. My original plan was to keep chasing him. I was thinking he probably didn't have a reload for another 20-30 seconds. We were wrong. So now I can't push into Conk. I mean, he's gonna never take a citadel from me, and he has a 75% repair. Assuming he's a normal human who runs like improved repair party readiness, he's gonna have another heal back in like 60-65 seconds. There's no way I kill him with 3 salvos. There's no way that happens. So I do unfortunately have to run away. The game is looking pretty fucked, right? We're down ships. We have horrible map position. They're pushing through our spawn. I'm in a pretty bad spot, so I'm gonna kite away, because really the only thing surface spotting me is the Conch. And what's going to end up happening is these ships at sea are probably going to push in. Yeah, the Cassard's already coming, right? So I need to head back to fight them off. And I just kind of, my overall opinion, this is a really unfortunate moment. My Sherman wants to damage farm instead of let me kill the carrier for free. So I think we don't end up getting the free kill in the midway. And I think I missed the blind fire. But the Preussen is really a solid ship. I think it's just really a textbook example of the most blatant and pure power creep, though. It's very, very sad to me. I don't understand why, when they moved GK to coal, they kept it the same. I really don't understand, and I especially don't understand because even from a wargaming being a greedy, scummy developer concept, it would have made financial sense to like move the GK to coal and improve it, right? Like if you want to be a cynic about wargaming's financial practices, I mean, I am one, let's be real, then it's like it was a win-win. Like realistically, what should have happened is they shouldn't have come up with mech. They should have put the GK into coal. They should have massively, massively improved the dispersion on the guns. Made it a bit of a sniper and given it a longer reload. I think that would have been incredibly fucking interesting. And it would have stood out from Preussen. Preussen would have been the more brawl-focused ship, right? Because then you would have had the overmatch to push in and deal with cruisers. And that's another reason why Preussen is just, like, kind of so much better in a brawl. Is, like, these cruisers can't bully you. The problem in the GK is, let's say you're pushing that Des Moines, that Salem, right? And he's bow in at 4 or 5 kilometers. You might not get a single Citadel, and you might hit 4 or 5 shells for 15k on that guy. Which is obviously, like, an unacceptably low amount of damage when fighting a ship with fucking 10 trillion DPM like Des Moines Salem, right? You need that one shot to kill or almost kill them. Which is quite unfortunate that you can't rely on it. And then the guns on Preussen, again, there's a lot of ships with troll armor. We mentioned Napoli. Napoli is a ship that is very difficult to Citadel at very close range if you do not have improved penetration on your AP, improved pen angles, that is, and you don't have 30 mil overmatch, something like a GK. Broadside Napoli at 4 or 5 kilometers torping you out. It's like, you might do basically 0 damage to that fucking thing, right? With this now, I am gonna highlight the build a little bit here. I am running a ridiculous cringe build on the Preussen. It is not optimum. The Hydro, you're gonna notice, spots torpedoes at 5 kilometers. This is kind of like my ranked Preussen build. Similar to it. It's hilarious. The spotting torps at 5 km is pretty funny. But I want you to look at this gun performance here. This guy's at 32 degrees, which means his bow is probably more like 40. No Citadels, but I mean, pretty fucking good. Like, yeah, that salvo is probably as good in GK. But the faster reload, especially at closer range, definitely helps a lot on this thing. You know, the extra range for a bit of improved vertical dispersion is helping a bit. I mean, here we see the, there's definitely not improved dispersion on destroyers, guys. This is definitely a conspiracy theory. No basis in fact. You definitely don't, like, magically get 30-40% better dispersion when you just shoot something that's small. Yeah, 100% not a thing. Don't believe me on this. I don't believe myself. It's not true. So this game is still quite fucked. You know, we're down 100 points. Their CV has a free kill on me, but their Kaba is somehow caught by a Napoli. The points are also reversed. Actually, I'm just noticing. So we are now up points, right? We are now up 180 points. So basically what happened is the Kaba suicided, and their CV is going to just kind of choose to not kill me. I don't know if he just said fuck his team, but basically there was no universe we could have won this game. You see here that we are even on caps, and my team is up 180 points. The points are reversed. If I die and the Kaba doesn't die, they win very marginally on points, right? And so the Kaba suicided, and then on top of that, their carrier is just going to decide to deliberately grief his team. Honestly, like, in my mind, permanent ban gameplay. You know, the only thing you will ever get banned for in World of Warships is doing what I'm doing. Typing, you know, third grade, a playground level, passive-aggressive insults at morons in chat. You will eventually probably get banned for that behavior. But doing what this carrier and this Kaba do, just deliberately, intentionally griefing the fuck out of your team and causing 11 players to lose who should have had a free win based on their own gameplay. That will never be banned. You will never even get a cooldown. You will never even be barred from playing randoms for, like, you know, an hour or 2 hours, right? There's no awakening. There's no wake-up call for the player base of, like, hey, you have griefed your team significantly based on a replay that was sent in to Wargaming personnel. You must now play 10 games of co-op because you clearly don't know how to play the game. We need to time you out, right? Basically any game, any competitive game, multiplayer online game ever created in the history of World of Warships would in fact ban these people, especially this carrier and this Svea. They both just run away and don't make any attempt to win the game. They just decide to lose, basically. You see the kind of HP I'm on. I'm one drop kill for the CV. The Svea could just absolutely absolutely have the ability to kill Napoli if he really tried and was a good player. They just chose to lose. So their 10 teammates just got turbo griefed by these two guys for no real fucking reason. It's just very, 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 very unfortunate that Wargaming enables this kind of griefing. Like no other online game lets you do this. It's very interesting to me. Yeah, mini rant aside, pretty good game overall. Um, it's so interesting to me how on paper marginal the improvements Preussen gets over GKR and how much better the ship feels. Like the GK, when I play the GK, it feels like a noticeable struggle. It feels like a struggle to get damage. It feels like I only really get damage in the GK if I mostly HE spam. It is better at HE spamming. I do want to be clear. Reload mod GK definitely HE spams better than Preussen. And the biggest problem with GK is you're kind of in this bad situation of like, do you run the long reload 420s with range mod and then like basically just have Montana AP with a horrible reload, or do you build into DPM so you can spam fires and become like a budget conqueror? And then just feel like on the Preussen you just get like unironically pretty decent guns. Like the guns on the Preussen feel much more decent. Number one, you get citadels like a solid 2 to 3 kilometers farther out than GK 406 guns, even a kilometer or two farther out than GK 420 guns on a lot of targets. The overmatch, right? Punching through troll armor on things like Napoli, going through overmatching cruisers, the faster reload, the better firing angles. It's just like that's honestly probably the biggest reason to not get GK for gold. I mean, like, what is this? Like, what is this? Like, this is not banned. Like, RCV, Red CV. Tell me how they win this game. Tell me how they win this game. Like I've said, this is part of the problem with CVs is the skill disparagement just basically guarantees you can't win or you can't lose. All right, let's hop into replay 2. We'll quit bitching. Okay, I apologize for that brief rant that's very unusual for this channel. I know this is typically a beacon of positivity and goodwill towards wargaming and the player base in as a whole. So, okay, we're back to the game. Preussen, what am I trying to do in the Preussen? Well, I definitely don't really want to be on a flank. Number one, I do think it partially stands true of Preussen what I said in the GK video that offering yourself up as a damage piggy for the enemy team is a consistently solid strategy because there's kind of just no universe where you ever blow up, right? And also, if you are positioned in a way to hit the whole map, you actually have the pen to hit people on the whole map. Things like this Minnesota, we can draw your attention to the enemy team. Things like this Minnesota, Thunderer, Yamato, and Maine, these ships with citadels. Will Citadel something like Minnesota, like legitimately at probably about 20 kilometers? GK struggles to hit it even 17, 18. Thunderer, again, will sit at 20 if we hit him on the Citadel. Yamato will sit like probably around 17, 18 compared to GK's 15, 16. And then Maine kind of the same. So your ability to get some nice smashes on people if with central positioning is just kind of a lot higher than GK. Also, the firing angles mean that you're a lot more able to kite out at will, kind of, if that makes sense. Part of the problem with the GK is if you are in the kite in the GK and you are in a situation like central map, right? Like let's say you're centrally positioned at B in the GK and you want to kite the A flank and keep all your guns on the A flank. The firing angles are so shit on the GK that like even trying to kite an angle just to one flank, you're like penable by ships that are only halfway on the flank. That's kind of what I'm getting at there. Like just to put it in perspective, the GK has 46 and I want to say like 30. It's like 45-35 on the GK. I'm pretty sure. I might be off by like 1 or 2 degrees, but you have 46 forward, or 45 forward and like 35 or 36 rear firing angles on the GK. And then the Preussen gets under 40 forward. I know it's under 40. I can't remember the exact count. It's high 30s. It's between 35 and 40. And you get 30 rear. So even pushing in the Preussen, listen, 38 degrees is not enough where, like, you're not going to take pens in the upper belt, right? I'm not saying that. But what you have to keep in mind is the amount of time it takes you to wiggle around, right? So, like, you go 30 something to 30, let's say 38, 39 degrees in Preussen to shoot. How long are you exposed to non-ricochet salvos from battleships, right? How long are you exposed to guaranteed pen angles before you can wiggle back? And the answer is in the Preussen, like maybe 5 or 6 seconds if you're pushing in. You wiggle. You're going in at like 30 degrees, right? So most of the upper belt bounces. You wiggle out like 7, 8 degrees. You fire, you wiggle back in 7, 8 degrees. The problem is on the GK, how much do you have to wiggle? Well, like obviously you have to wiggle like 15 degrees, right? So it's not that the number to keep in mind in a lot of situations isn't the simple number of 45 versus 38 degree forward firing angles. Yes, that is a valid number to keep in mind. Here we see, again, definitely not getting better dispersion on destroyers. That's 100% not a thing. Don't be a conspiracy theorist. Definitely not getting pinpoint dispersion on that guy just because he's in a DD. But so that's the thing to keep in mind, though, is if you're going in at 30, right, which is putting you up very safe from taking those juicy upper belt pens that GK is renowned for, Preussen's renowned for. You wiggle out in Preussen 8 degrees, shoot, wiggle back in 8 degrees. In GK, it's 15. So the amount of the duration of time that you're going to be exposed to upper belt pen angles is almost double, right? So it's not 45 versus 38. Oh, it's only like 10-20% worse. No, it's twice as bad when you're pushing in, because you're pushing in, you are safe, you turn broadside to shoot, you turn back in safe. Then in the GK you get smashed because you're exposed for way longer, exposed at a worse angle, right? So that's something that's very important to keep in mind. Like forward firing angles in the high 30s are like very decent, right? I mean, they're not amazing, right? We talked about them Bourgogne video. I think Bourgogne is like maybe 37 or something forward. It's not, retarded bullshit Colombo main where you get like 30 or something. Actually, I think Colombo is like mid to low 20s even. It's not like completely retarded, but it's pretty nice. It's pretty it's significantly noticeable compared to GK. This guy aimed, fortunately, way too high. That easily could have been like a 30k hit. But this is what I mean, going back to like offering yourself for the team, is it's like, yeah, I'm letting the GK hit my broadside, right? There's a Stalingrad here. I'm letting him hit my broadside. Yeah, we're probably going to lose 30, 40k between their two salvos, but like how much more damage, you see where my Ohio is? Like, look at the HP my Ohio is at. He's quite low. Up here on the mod, he's quite low, right? Imagine the GK had shot my 45-degree angled Ohio instead of me. Would he have killed him? Very possibly. If not killed him, he would have certainly almost killed him, right? So this is what I mean, is it's like, against something like a GK, you're probably never taking more than like 25, 30. Against a Stalingrad front gun, you're never taking more than like about 15, maybe a little bit more. So and half of that is healable, right? You'll get half of that back in one heal. So, yeah, I'm tossing the enemy team 40,000 health from me, maybe 30, in that situation, 35. And then I one heal, so I've permanently lost 17,000 HP. But I let my Ohio live, like basically 2 extra salvos, because the GK turned his guns, right? He got baited, right? People go ooga booga, German battleship, they have to shoot. He turned his guns to hit me. And that let our Ohio live to get some more damage in. So definitely the same philosophy applies. Now, unlike the GK, the Preussen guns are so decent that you don't solely gain value. Like the ship, like Preussen gains value from tanking for the team like that, being the target, like GK, but it doesn't have to do that to get any game impact. Whereas like the GK arguably just has to get shot at by the whole enemy team or you're trolling your team. And that's not necessarily true of the Preussen because those guns are so much better. Um, and I'm just gonna, I'm always repeating myself in these videos, but I just think like there's just no reason for this like egregious example of power creep. Like it's it's so strange to me, and it's so counterintuitive too. Like that this is the tech tree ship. Again, I do think the 8 gun, the 4 turret design, obviously you have that style, like basically all the way from through Bismarck, right? And the guns get marginally better, right? They go up a caliber, and now going up another caliber, right? It makes sense. I'm not knocking that decision, but I do think it's just really a shame that they could have done so many interesting things with GK when they moved it to coal. They could have buffed it. They could have made it quite an enticing coal boat, again, by like basically taking the fundamental concept of Mecklenburg, which is like pinpoint dispersion. Um, we could have just done that with the GK. I think give it, make it like a better, more accurate Montana. Then obviously the hull is worse and the heel is worse to kind of balance it out. But nah, as it stands, I just unfortunately think that the Preussen is just the way better version of what the GK is. It's it has better guns, even though you only have 2/3 as many guns on the same dispersion. You would think that that makes the salvos less consistent. But again, because you gain the ability to citadel at longer ranges, you have the 30 overmatch. It leads to, in my mind, the average Preussen salvo being basically as good as the average GK salvo. Maybe very slightly worse on broadsides, a bit worse on broadsides, but then the reload is compensating a bit as well. So I just think kind of overall, the guns are just inarguably better. And then uh, because you have the better firing angles, you just have effectively more survivability. So unfortunately on the Preussen, it's not just that you have more effective guns per salvo or just overall throughout the course of the game. The gun firing angles just make you tankier too, so you get survivability that GK doesn't get, and you just inarguably, I think, just get better guns. Even if the firing angles were totally identical, right? Like even if this thing still had GK's horrible firing angles, like it would still be an upgrade. You see there, a Thunderer at you look at the mod in the center of the screen. 20, it's showing 125, so he is at a 35-degree angle, or a a 55-degree angle, however you want to call it. And we can still citadel. I'm going to tell you right now that the GK probably cannot get that citadel with its 406s. And that's what I mean. That guy is relatively angled, right? 35 degrees off of center is really a substantial amount. That's probably putting his citadel belt well over 500 millimeters of protection. And because we have this significantly improved penetration at that kind of range, then we're able to comfortably citadel instead of like kind of maybe citadel. I'm almost positive GK 406s won't get that citadel. 420s, it's kind of right on the edge of at 15 kilometers. Penning 500 is like right on the very fucking edge of what GK can accomplish. And I don't know, dude. Also, going back to the railguns, right? I've already mentioned that this has the fastest shells with overmatch on 30 in the game. These shells are faster than GK's shells. I don't understand. I don't understand why that is. So of course, like we've mentioned many times, when it comes to armor piercing ammo, what does a faster shell typically mean? Well, it typically means that the angle of impact is closer to 0 degrees, closer to flat, closer to perpendicular, however you want to call it. What does that mean? Well, means you effectively have marginally more penetration. It's just all of these things. Now, this is a situation where the lack of shells is a problem, but get another citadel. The Preussen, in my experience, like I don't want to say when I first started playing the Preussen, I just was surprised at how many citadels it gets. It gets very kind of just random ass citadels. You've got like Vermont at like 18.5 kilometers, and you citadel, and you're like, huh, I didn't realize my boat could do that. That's pretty cool. Uh, Back to the game we're currently in, it was looking extremely, extremely bad. But my Johan basically just made a play. Uh, basically made a play, and he decided to go in. Unfortunately, what's happening is you see, I've talked about this a lot, how Battleship cringe lords just bait their team. And you can see here on the minimap, my Satsuma is kiting away from a Jinan and a Minnesota. And if you also look in the top left, he is on full HP. So this guy has over 100,000 HP, and he overmatches Jinan everywhere. He overmatches all these guys, right? He has the most consistent damage output on our team. And he's hiding, and he is letting his half HP, horribly armored Wujing battleship push. He's letting me and the Johan push. Just kind of like cringe 101 battleship gameplay. It really gives me cancer to watch battleship players with this amount of HP left. Just bait the fuck out of their team. It's kind of fucking crazy. Your job as that guy in that situation is to aggressively push, to take as much fire off of your team as humanly possible, right? I mean, the Johan is like, man, he is trying to cap, right? He's trying to cap, but the Gnam was able to kind of just bot out in the center because our Satsuma wasn't pushing. And so he's doing like as much as he can. Like he is playing basically game perfect here, trying to get the cap. And unfortunately, he's just getting like very, very hardcore baited by this 100,000 HP super battleship behind us. And so you see, I was on this island the second the Jinan dies. What does that enable me to do? Well, that enables me to come out, and now I can let myself be shot at, right? Obviously, walking out into what's probably Jinan Torps is not really the play. But, the second that Torp threat is gone, like, it's fine. If this Minnesota 25Ks me, if this main 25Ks me, we're going to be totally fucking fine. It's not going to be a problem. 6 out of 8 shells, though, at 19 kilometers on a Minnesota? Interesting. I don't know. I don't have any evidence. I don't have any empirical, concrete fucking data. This ship feels like surprisingly accurate with range mod to me. What do we have here? We have a Minnesota at 18 kilometers at a slight angle. GK doesn't citadel that. I'm telling you right now. The ship with range mod feels strangely accurate to me. There are strange and surprising salvos that I get in the Preussen that don't, like, to me, logically make sense, because I know this ship, you have standard battleship dispersion and you have 1.8 Sigma, right? The GK, the Bourgogne, have the same dispersion. I don't really have an explanation for the amount of salvos where you hit like 6-7 shells out of 8 at long range. I don't have an explanation for that. Because that's the equivalent. I mean, there you see a horrible fucking troll salvo, obviously. Our dispersion's not pinpoint. But the converse, right? Like hitting 6 shells on a Minnesota at that range is the equivalent of hitting 9 out of 12 in the GK. Does that happen? Do you, at an angle battleship at 18 kilometers, hit 9 out of 12 shells in GK, like, ever? This is what I'm getting at. I don't know what to think about this. I don't know if, like, range mod on Preussen is just specifically doing that much heavy lifting. Logically, that doesn't make sense. Like, I fully understand that this is, like, some logical inconsistency. Like, there's no reason why what I'm saying should be true. I just know that, like, I've even had multiple people in our clan remark on, how the fuck is that? Basically, the term, how the fuck is that Preussen dispersion, has been uttered many, many times when I have played this ship with range mod. That's really just all I have to tell you. I don't, maybe it's just, 1 in million luck. I am, in fact, Wargaming's favored son. I don't know, but this game is over. Another, like, very nice comeback. We were down point ships, and basically once this game got down to a 5v6, our team, like if you look at the HP and you were paying attention earlier, our team basically lost no HP and then killed the entire enemy team, which is pretty fucking cool and interesting. Here we see another just pure cringe lord wasting everyone's fucking time. Uh, and, he's gonna, I think, end up getting away with it because basically the game ends just in time. But that is, back-to-back games. I think I played 3 games today in Preussen, and we are looking at 2 consecutive games. I believe we're looking at games 2 and 3. Game 1 was like the craziest blowout of all time. I think the game was over in like 4.5 minutes. It was kind of nutty. Not a lot to be gleaned from such a replay. Uh, I aimed a bit too high there, unfortunately. But, it's a Takahashi. It's a Yodel line cruiser, so your chance to knock a turret is, of course, 100.00 infinitely repeating percent. But yeah, unfortunately, he is gonna live this. But I mean, dispersion. I aimed a little too high again. That's all there is to it. Preussen is like a very solid ship. It really is. Like, unironically, I feel like this is a solid. I don't know if I want to go so far as to say like meta or super strong battleship, but I think it's just like it's undeniably good. I think this ship is good. Like, I feel like if people in this community can't make Preussen work for them at all, I don't really know what to tell them. Because like even a ship that is as thoroughly mediocre as GK, I mean GK is one of the worst tier 10 battleships in the game, in randoms for sure. But the Preussen is just like so much better than the GK. Don't really know what to say. I mean, I don't know. I think it's like very, very, very decent. I also think that the grind gets more hate than it deserves. I personally didn't even think FDG was like that bad. Obviously, it's not that good, but I have HP and armor in tier 9, which is pretty cool. And the lack of a citadel is, of course, an asset. And this is what I mean when like we compare these ships. It's like you compare like the Preussen hull to the Bourgogne hull, and like the Preussen hull is just better. I mean, that is not an opinion. That is an objectively factual statement that the Preussen hull is better than the Bourgogne hull. You don't get raped by 32 overmatch. You don't get raped by 32 AG spam. You just don't. I mean, you don't, and you have more of a true no citadel in something like Preussen than you do in Bourgogne, right? Like Bourgogne at very, very close range is like if at very close range, right? Like 5-6 kilometers, yeah, because of the spaced armor is super trolly, but like it absolutely has the citadel at close range. Like you go flat broadside to a Vermont at 6 kilometers in your Bourgogne, and you are getting one shot 100% of the time. You are blowing the fuck up every single time. And you might take one citadel in the Preussen every 30 games, 20 games, something like that. Usually like super fucking weird ass salvos. Like, I have a clip somewhere of citadeling a Preussen at 30 kilometers in the Vermont with one shell, which like physically isn't even possible. I actually suspect that a lot of the citadels that happen on the GK Preussen hull are similar to Montana. They're bugged citadel hits because if you look in Armor Viewer, there's a lot of what I would call physically impossible citadels that happen to this ship. I know typically speaking when I get citadels on Preussen GK, it doesn't make any sense. Like they're stationary at 30 kilometers and you get a citadel and it's like, I don't even have the pen to get through the casemate at this range. How did I just get a citadel, right? Super weird shit happens like that sometimes. But effectively speaking, there is no citadel, right? And this is the thing is like, the Hydro is a nice tool to have, but on the GK you can kind of never make use of it because you push in and you want to shoot your guns and you have to go 45 degrees and you get 30k because they don't even have to hit superstructure. 45 degrees firing angles in GK forward, like they just stay midsection and you lose 30k, no questions asked, right? And then Preussen you only have to go like 38ish degrees forward firing angles, so they're not going to 30k you, right? They're going to shoot superstructure that's going to saturate. That's part of why you take so much damage broadside in GK Preussen. It's not the superstructure even, right? That is a weakness, but it's that casemate penning that doesn't saturate the same way, right? Like after you take one 25k hit in Preussen superstructure, like you're kind of maxed out. You're gonna take 15K in the next hit. Um, all right, let's yeah, look at that 53K on this guy with 15 hits, right? Uh, Pretty cool. Let's hop back in the port. All right, we'll try to keep the port period brief because kind of everything is similar to GK. No questions asked. These are the first two items you run. Overall, do you think prop mod is the way? Unlike GK, because we actually have good enough guns to justify our existence on the server by doing damage, we don't have to run this. You definitely can. I do sometimes still run ship consumables, and it's kind of funny. You get the 3-minute Hydro, right? The 22k HP heal, and then range mod. I have over 100 games in Preussen, probably 3/4 with range, 3/4 with reload. I think range mod is unironically the objectively correct decision on the Preussen. I really do. I really, really, really do. Also, that does kind of give us some leeway on the captain because then you notice here we have 40-second turret traverse because we're not taking grease the gears. Now, I don't think vigilance is the objective correct choice. It's hilarious that you spot torps at 5 kilometers, but I probably wouldn't give it because like it's still only giving you a 32% torpedo belt. Like this isn't a good skill on the ship. I wouldn't run it. I would absolutely run 2-point AA or even brisk. And that's just because we're taking range mod. Now, if you are not range mod, if you are not based in range mod pilled and you want to be a cringe lord and take no range to get a 3-second faster reload on guns that already reload perfectly fast enough, then I would probably recommend grease the gears. We just swap this over because otherwise you will have like a 40 fucking yeesh, a 45 plus second turret traverse, and you're having a faster reload, right? Like this gives you like a 21 point something second reload if you take reload mod. So then like having a 45-second reload, which is double the time it takes you to, sorry, a 45-second turret traverse, which is double the time it takes the turrets to reload. That's pretty rough. So part of why I like range mod on this is I don't need to take grease the gears. I think 40 is workable. It's okay. It's not perfect, but it's fine. I think overall, I would probably recommend grabbing AA Defense Expert. It's just kind of like the best 2-point skill in the game. Like honestly, if your battleship doesn't need grease the gears, like 2-point AA for randoms, right? We're stressing for randoms. 2-point AA is like should be the default choice you run over brisk. Definitely ships where brisk is better. But 2-point AA skill on battleships is like nutty. Even on ships with dog shit AA. Even on ships like the Preussen, it's like you're not going to shoot down more planes because you have this, obviously, right? But you're going to get dropped on 3 or 4 times with the same squad because you don't have AA. Every time they drop you, they're in your AA range for like 10 seconds, so the heal comes back in almost half the time, right? And crucially, the DCP. And then obviously, like, you run this. If the base DCP is 15 seconds, you just run damage control party mod. It's that simple for me. Hybrid build is what I mean by hybrid build would be you drop improved repair party readiness and concealment for the 2 secondary skills, and then you still take aiming so the guns aren't junk. And then like reload, like that's a solid rank build. That's typically what I run in ranked actually is reload mod, no conceal with the 2 secondary skills on the captain, and then everything else here the same. Pretty solid build. Randoms, I don't think that's the play at all. Again, when you compare this thing to Ohio, the Ohio secondaries have like way more hitting DPM. You have like the copium higher pen on Preussen, but like Ohio secondaries are way better against destroyers. They start way more fires. Ohio has the tankiness with the short heal cooldowns to like push in and stay alive that you don't have. Ohio gets with a hybrid build on Ohio, you get actually like 0.3 better secondary range even than Preussen hybrid build. Yeah, it's pretty sad. And you're actually slightly stealthier. So like on Ohio, the buffer range when you run hybrid with no concealment is like a 4.3
4.3. I want to say it's a 4.3 kilometer range from where you get spotted to you can secondary people. And Preussen hybrid build, because the concealment and the secondaries are worse, it's a full like 5 kilometers. So everything about the Preussen is worse than Ohio when trying to place around secondaries. Everything about it's worse. It's just not worth it. Really, where the ship shines compared to Ohio is the shell flight time to medium and long range. That's where it shines. That really is. Because these, you do be having railguns. Uh, and then, I mean, briefly, we, show the armor. Yeah, I mean, the idea that this ship has bad armor because of, I'm just going to fucking, we're not going to rant. We're not going to rant. We're going to observe. The idea that you would pick on Preussen for having bad armor and then give a ship like Bourgogne with almost the same size superstructure and zero armor anywhere else, that you would give that thing a fucking pass. I don't know, dude. All right. But yeah. We looked at the armor in the GK video. The armor is overall, like, assuming you're not botting out flat broadside, it's pretty honestly fucking amazing aside from the superstructure. If this thing had Kremlin superstructure, it would be rightfully recognized as the tankiest battleships in the game, Preussen and GK. But the superstructure does let you down mad. That is true. And then, of course, you don't really have a citadel, of course, like we all know. Yeah. I actually think the Preussen is quite decent, average or even above average. Battleships. If I'm thinking of a battleship to play in 2024 from the tech tree, it's gonna probably be Colombo, Preussen, Montana, or Vermont. Yeah. There's probably only 4 or 5 tech tree battleships I really play anymore in randoms. Preussen is actually still one of them. It's kind of a comfy ship. The guns are like very solid. And then there's obviously nothing really that bad about the GK hull. It's really the firing angles that make GK's armor scheme, or not. It's not the armor scheme. It's the firing angles that make GK not tanky. A big part of it. And so you're eliminating one of two things that make GK not tanky while getting better guns. The poster child of power creep right here. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.